Hello everyone, welcome to the ServiceNowStar YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll talk about how we can master ServiceNow subscription management and licensing. I've got so many questions from the community because this is a critical area for the client and all as an architect and also as a developer. We need to know the licensing part of the ServiceNow, which normally a little bit complicated, I can say. It's because it's mainly with the ServiceNow, the one we working with the ServiceNow, and also the client are the one who mainly know this. So as a developer, we need to understand, we need to ask what licensing the client has, so that way we can help them optimize, maximize the value they can get with this effective subscription management. So that's the main topic for today. I am your host, Mohammed Rashid Kamal, a certified technical architect from the Washington DC. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. If you are new to the ServiceNow Star, make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching us, maybe on Facebook, Twitch, and also YouTube. Welcome, everybody. We'll be getting started shortly here. Our today's main topic is we're going to talk about all in and out about the ServiceNow subscription management and also the licensing. We'll talk about some best practice from my experience. I will share that in detail here with you all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be go ahead and starting here shortly. Great. Now, the ServiceNow subscription management or licensing, it is really important. The reason is because when you use ServiceNow, sometimes it becomes too costly because it's kind of your subscription, right? You're paying, the clients are paying, you're developing or you're architecting, but the clients are paying, and it may sometimes cause unknown. So if you know it all the in and out of the subscription, you might help the client to save some money, okay? And so that way they can use and spend in more areas where they need. Now there is visibility. You gotta gain a complete transparency into the licensing utilization across your organization. That's very important and crucial. Not only the visibility, but also the governance aspect. Okay, implementing this proactive oversight to prevent a compliance issue before they occur. Because ServiceNow, if something happens, especially with compliance wise, it would not gonna be, it's not gonna be good. So that way you have to make sure you are stayed compliant with the ServiceNow subscription. So whatever you subscribe to it, you have to stay compliant. So let's say if you by mistake do some that is something that is not based on what you are subscribed, it's going to cause some issues. So you have to make sure that. So governance part is very important. Not only that, not only the visibility, but also the governance is very critical and important because the penalty is very high. So you have to make sure the client is on track on that aspect. Okay. Now, the other crucial part here is optimization part, because ServiceNow really wants you to optimize and leverage your ServiceNow platform, but you gotta ensure you are using the exact what you pay for it. Okay, exactly what you pay for it. And sometimes some client without knowledge might come to you and try to go around through the licensing, okay, by creating a custom role or a custom ACL and so on. And that is not good. If it is known by ServiceNow, it's going to cause issue. So you gotta optimize instead of going the other route to prevent any licensing by creating a custom role and so on. This can be fun because we are using, the platform where ServiceNow provide us. So you gotta make sure that this can be known at the same time. So you have to understand that. Okay. Now, another important thing here is when you are using this, the ServiceNow subscription management, always establish a dedicated team to monitor the subscription health weekly, monthly, and also you can also create a notification, which I'm going to show maybe on the next episode, okay, which I'm going to show how you can be able to, for example, send a notification when you are in outage. Okay, if you are overused from what you have been allocated, so we need to have you need to have like a notification mechanism that can send or also you can go ahead and directly use any reporting mechanism within the ServiceNow, which will be showing in detail as well. You can use those so that way you can be able to avoid any overage of the license that you have been allocated, okay? That you have been you purchased and using too much of that. So you have to leverage those as well to avoid any license complication, okay? So those are very important point here to remember. And the other important thing here is when it comes to licensing is that always remember to follow the ServiceNow rules and regulations when it comes to the licensing part. And you still have the option and the opportunity to optimize your licensing. That is up to you. Okay, you can optimize that to your best use, and any unused role, if you have unused users that are there or not logging in that much, so you can deactivate their account so that way you can save. Okay, now the key features here and the benefit, there's a real-time health dashboard for you, so you can monitor. Okay, it's not like everything is closed on you. You have this dashboard that's built by ServiceNow to monitor in real time based on how many roles are assigned and so on. So you got that right there, monitoring your subscription status with your intuitive visualizations that is created out of the box. You can create some additional reports to further leverage as well, and you can also automate any synchronization, stay current with the daily data updates from your subscription service. That's an important part. And another good part here is also you have to use a group-based role management, so that way you can you can leverage not just assigning at the end of the time. You might say, okay, where did I assign the role, right? Where did I assign, and so on. That's going to be really challenging at the end of the time. So what you should do is you have to assign the role into the group. Okay, streamlining compliance through your efficient permission structure. That is going to be a very cool feature. Now, if you go ahead and create a custom application, you have to track them, because this custom application, that might incur some additional tables, additional roles, and so on. So you gotta make sure that any custom application or any custom table that going to be created in your instance, you have to understand the benefit, you have to understand the value, and based on that, you can go ahead and decide for yourself, okay, for yourself. So that's a cool part right there. Now, another important thing here is when you talk about the ServiceNow licensing structure, so you have to include the dashboard in your regular IT operation review, because if you don't have that kind of no visibility in your ServiceNow dashboarding mechanism or reporting mechanism, is going to cause some issues. So you have to make sure your clients are understand by having them a report, so that way they can further understand and they know what is coming on them. Now, there are two licensing model, which is commonly used in ServiceNow: unrestricted user subscription and also a custom table. Okay. Earlier, I talked about when you create a custom application or when you create a custom role, you have to understand what impact that's going to cause in your licensing structure. You have to understand that. But now, again, understanding your clients, what type of model they're going to use. Okay, is it unrestricted user subscription? Okay, or is it a custom table based, right? Which means how many custom tables they have purchased already, or okay, that will really help you. The unrestricted one, unlike the custom table one, they have no role limitation. Okay, there's no need to count the roles. There's no need to count the roles because you have no role limitation. You have unlimited role. For example, some clients might have unlimited ITIL. Okay, so they can assign ITIL to any users that they might need to give them role. Okay, so this is unrestricted user subscription, and you might also have account only active users. Okay, unrestricted, you can account only the active users. If the user is not active, it will not gonna come to your subscription count. It's very simplified management and very easy because you have unlimited role limitation. So that is the best I can say, among the custom table. But when it comes to the custom table, yes, of course, some clients we might go to the custom table, but they need to understand that this is going to give you only certain user related tables count, only certain, okay? You can refer to the custom table guide, and also this require a careful monitoring. You have to monitor it carefully, because if you overuse any custom table, the penalty is going to be very high. So you have to make sure that is there, monitoring how many custom tables you have created and so on. Now, the best practice we need to remember when we do this modeling, the licensing modeling, we have to conduct a quarterly roll audits to identify and correct any violations, okay? In case you might have any violations, so you have to make sure you have to go ahead and correct them. That can help you to mitigate any issues that may have come from the service now. Now, you might be think of, how can I manage custom tables? Because custom tables are very important. So you go to the second model of the ServiceNow, the modeling structure for the licensing through custom table, or the unlimited one, the custom table one, you have to identify these custom tables. You have to use any subscription management app that come through the ServiceNow application. There's an out-of-the-box dashboard to discover all your custom tables in your instance, okay? That's the basic part. And from there, you gotta classify these custom tables. You have to determine which tables count toward your licensing using the custom table guide. Okay, you'll be provided this custom table guide, and using following that, you have to determine which table will go toward which licensing structure. You have to align these entitlements as well. You have to ensure your purchased license cover your actual table usage. Okay. Now, let's say before you even, once you deploy an application or a table, a custom table to your production environment, it's always recommended, not only recommended, it's required, okay, for you to make sure you are align your entitlements, ensuring your purchased license cover on your actual table usage. That's the best part right there you have to do. And also you have to categorize these tables proactively to avoid any surprise during a true up, because true up is going to happen in the production environment. So before that happen, you have to make sure you have to categorize your tables proactively to avoid any surprise, because it's going to be really not good when it comes to if the true ups already happen in your instance. And okay, that will not going to result in a good practice in your instance. Okay, now let's talk about how can we monitor, okay, our subscription. So you got a daily dashboard review. It's good to do a daily dashboard review. You have those dashboards in subscription management. You can check users license assignments, any application access metrics that you may apply. Also, you can automate any synchronization, so system updates license data every 24 hours. So that is possible, and you can do that. And when it comes to user allocation, you have to assign users based on the subscription groups and actual need. Do the user need? Okay. And also, please make sure you assign to a subscription group, not just assigning roles to user directly in production environments, especially. So assign it directly to the subscription groups, and also the actual need. Actual need must be vetted. You have to assign users based on that, okay, into the group, and the group already has a role. Okay, you may also configure an alert mechanism, which I will be covering on the next session, how we can send an alert mechanism to the administrator or to your leadership whenever there is overage of the license utilization. Okay, that's something we can do. Set up a notification for usage threshold based on, so whenever it's higher, or whenever it's get closer, you can send that notification. Okay, alerting mechanism is very important. That can help you. For example, before you reach 80% of a purchase license, you can send a notification, or when it reach 100%, you can send a notification. Okay, that is very important. Now you can allocate subscription in many way. Okay, match usage to the license. That's important. Aligning actual consumption with purchase entitlement. Your actual consumption with your purchase entitlement. That's something you have to do. And forecasting requirement, you gotta forecast as well. Sometimes you might go ahead and onboard or work on a given application, and if you don't forecast your requirements, it's going to be difficult. Okay, you can use your historic data to predict any future need as well, and track any usage trend, monitor patterns to identify your future license need. It's very important because if you have a higher need this month, and what about next month, right? And some users might come, for example, auditing. When it comes to auditing, you might do your compliance work given certain period of time, and sometimes the auditors may not come. So that way you can go ahead and deactivate their account, and when they are ready, you can go ahead and um, reactivate their account. That's something you can also leverage. Managing license type, balance both the user-based and also the capacity-based licensing. That is also an important aspect that need to be remembered. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions or comment. I am just checking here on the community. Let's see. Everybody, if you guys have any questions or comment, feel free to put them on the chats right here. We will be taking a few seconds and then we'll be back. Hello, Pick Junior. Thank you for sub. Thank you for joining us live here. We are taking a few seconds here and we'll be back shortly to continue talk about the subscription allocations and also some cool stuff. I have some. Hello, Pick. Hello, Tech Horizon. Hello, Mo. Thank you for joining us live. All right, all right. We will continue talking about this an important topic. It's really important, especially as a ServiceNow developer or as a ServiceNow admin. We all need to understand the subscription management because sometimes the clients may not understand this, and it might result to some subscription issue and violation. If that violation or the ServiceNow tune up, if it happen in violation, will result to a higher price. That's no one will like it. Okay. All right. All right. So we talked about the subscription allocation. All right. Let's make that a little down and also mute it. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about one of an important topic for the ServiceNow platform. Okay, the subscription management and also license allocation. Once you have a license with ServiceNow, you have to make sure you are in a compliance. Okay, you're not doing any violation. Sometimes because not understanding how this work, some client, or I can say some developers may come up with an idea of creating a custom role and so on to uh, go around through this licensing structure that can result to a bigger penalty. So we have to avoid that. But if we understand really how the licensing structure or the subscription structure work in ServiceNow, we can better advise the client so that way they can better use the right way, not the wrong way. Okay? You have to match usage to the license. This must be done. Aligning the actual consumption with the purchase entitlement, especially once you deploy a given requirement or a given application into the production environment, that alignment need to happen. Tracking your usage trend. Let's say at some time you might have a higher percentage of active users and another time may not, and people may not log in. So you can go ahead and set up an account. For example, you can go ahead and set up a mechanism that can check for user login. If they don't log for the next 7 days or 2 weeks, you can go ahead and deactivate. So that way you can save on licensing. Okay, that's also another great part you can implement. Managing your license type is very important. Balance both your user base and also the capacity license based structure. That is also an important. Now, what are the reporting and analytics when it comes to this licensing structure? So you have that your executive dashboard. It's a high level compliance and cost metrics. You can create that in high level that can give them what is the cost per month. You can do that. Okay, and also how compliant your instance is. That's very important. You have to stay compliant as much as possible, not overage of the custom tables or also the role that you might use. Second important part, you can do a departmental report. This is a license allocation and also usage by team, because one team might have a number of active users and the other may not have. So you can also create that kind of report utilizing analytics. This gonna give you a detailed usage pattern and also trend for your current, and also you can also forecast for your future as well. So with that way you can get ready for anything that might come. And usual, okay, you can have raw data access, which is a custom reporting capability. That's also a very important. So one best practice to implement here is you gotta integrate a monthly license report in your governance dashboard. That is very important because you have that governance report. If anything is in compliance, that might result to a penalty from the ServiceNow. So that way we can avoid that one. Now, and if you're looking for any training and support, yes, ServiceNow has this platform academy. You can access this official ServiceNow courses on subscription management. You can go ahead and let your team learn that. You can provide a community resource. There is a lot of community resource when it comes to licensing and also subscription in ServiceNow. There's a documentation. The ServiceNow has a very good documentation. The ServiceNow doc or the ServiceNow documentation, you can go ahead and leverage any resource that's there to increase your knowledge. And also, it's good to have a lunch and learn sometimes to host an internal knowledge sessions for your team also to make sure they understand how the licensing works. Okay, so these are some of the ways you can improve the knowledge of your team, so that way they can apply the best practice and they can avoid any penalties when it comes to the licensing. And you can schedule a regular training sessions to keep your team updated. And if anything you're not sure when it comes to this licensing, maybe you're going to create a custom table or a custom role and so on, you can reach to ServiceNow or you can put any question in the ServiceNow community, so that way you can get answer right away as well, instead of coming at the later time with some issue with it. Okay, now let's talk about the troubleshooting in common license, because when you have this license, you may have some issues. Okay, how can you trouble? Avoid direct role assignment. This is, I'm gonna say this again and again, avoid direct role assignment, because at the end of the time, if you start at the beginning, if you start assigning roles to multiple users, and then it's going to be really challenging if that user left from the company and so on. So what you need to do is you have to go ahead and assign role into the group and add users to the group. Okay, so don't do the other way. Hey everybody, welcome to the ServiceNowStar. We're talking about the best practice how you can manage your subscription and licensing in ServiceNow, so that way you can avoid any penalties and so on. Okay, now when it comes to the troubleshooting, we talked about assigning roles to the group, not roles to individual user. That's something I want to emphasize. You have to do that. Okay, now validate table classification. That's very important. Regularly have to check your custom table categorization, how you categorize them and so on. That is also an important thing to remember. Review any compliance report that you have. Okay, identify and address any discrepancy promptly. If there is any discrepancy from your purchase, how many license you purchased and how many you consume, so you have to go ahead and address those discrepancy immediately, because that is really helpful for you. So that way you can stay in compliant and on track on your licensing structure. Okay, and last but not least, you have to establish governance calendar. Your governance is very important in your service now, especially when you start your service now. You have to establish your governance body, and also in your governance body, make sure they need to understand how the licensing structure work, how you have your licensing with ServiceNow, so that way we can introduce early those best practice, and then we can stay compliant. Okay, you can schedule your regular compliance checking and so on. Okay, gotta create your internal knowledge base and documentation and common issues and solution that might be there, so can help you. Okay, so you don't need to re-engineer. Okay, whenever you have any issue with your licensing, it's always there to not you just to try to figure it out, but you can put in the ServiceNow community, or you can reach out to your ServiceNow rep directly, your representative directly, and get answers. Okay, all right, now let's move on. Now, when it comes to this, the ServiceNow licensing, it's very crucial to understand all the important parts right here. I will bring you back the two. Okay. Yes. This is unrestricted user subscription and also the custom table. The unrestricted user subscription, there is no role limitation. You can use as much as you want. There's count only active users, and it's very simplified management. If your client if your client has this unrestricted user subscription, that's how it works, and there is no issue with the role limitation. Again, if you have unrestricted user subscription, it depends on what application do you have. Is it for ITSM or is it for SPM, Strategic Portfolio Management? Okay. If you have it for ITSM, yes, of course, you will have ITIL role unlimited, and that is going to be good for you. And what about the custom tables? Custom tables based on which is only certain users created table count. And also this refer to, you have to refer your custom table guide, and that will be provided by ServiceNow. And if you are in doubt, you have to make sure you ask that question directly your ServiceNow representatives. All right. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. That covers today's session with ServiceNow licensing and also subscription, some best practice, and also what you can do and how you can optimize your ServiceNow licensing for best. That covers today's session. I'm Mohammed Rashid Kamal, certified technical architect, and from the ServiceNowStar, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Let us know what next topics you would like to. Uh, would like us to present. This was one came from the community, and we'll go ahead and take a look at if there is anything that you guys want to present us. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.